So I did not grow up in the church, so I didn't learn about tithing from my parents or anything like that. But I did learn a lot about generosity from them because they were very generous people. I mean, one time my dad got a new car and he just gave away his old one because somebody needed it that he knew. So he's like, well, they need it more than we do at this point, so let me just give it away. We had multiple people live in our house over the years that just needed a place to stay. You know, that kind of generosity that I learned about as a kid. So then fast forward to adulthood, right? And I was in church as a teenager and started going as an adult pretty regularly. And I learned about tithing, but I was still, I'm a broke college student, I thought, I don't have the money to tithe, I got to pay for what I got to pay for and not worry about any of that. And Kevin and I met, and for those people that don't know, we met and married in 4 months. So it was a pretty quick little courtship, but we sat down after we got engaged and looked at a budget. And he was like, obviously, first off the top is our tithe. And I was like, okay, sounds good. And that was just like a decision. It was like, from now on, no matter what, first off the top is going to be that 10%. He really taught me more about what tithing meant and what the Bible said about that. Because I was just like, well, okay, 10%, I get. We can do that, But what if I want to give to, like, for a while we had Compassion International Kids and stuff. And I was like, what if I want to give to that? What if I want to give to this and this and this? And he's like, our first 10% needs to go to the church. And I'm like, why? Like, it's all going to God. Like, why do we need to give it all to the church? That first 10%. He said, anything over that we want to give, we can do to those things. And so that was a big struggle I had too over the years, just figuring out that. And in my mind now, I feel like it is important that first 10% go to the church because the church is doing so much ministry. They're helping children in Nicaragua. They're helping people in our backyard. I mean, this building that we're sitting in, it's part of that and the way that they're giving. And a lot of that is trusting too, like trusting that the church is being good stewards with the money. And I do have that trust and that faith in our leadership and in our church because I've seen it time and time again. When there's a need, it's being filled by the church. God has never not provided for our needs. And it doesn't mean that I'm going to have the nicest cars or the nicest house or even meat to eat. I mean, there have been times we've eaten rice and beans, but we're going to have what we need. And that's important to remember too, that we don't have to have it all. And there have been times where money's been tight and we'll get a check in the mail that we weren't expecting or that we were expecting but we forgot was coming, or something like that. And that's just to me like, one of those moments where God's just like, I got you. You're okay. This is going to be all right. So it's easy to sit here and talk about tithing and act like it's just so easy, and it is in some senses. Like, it's like, it brings me joy. I want to do it. But there's definitely times where it's a struggle and it's easy you want to keep up with the Joneses, right? You want to have all the latest things and all the nice technology and cars and things like that. And it's easy to fall into that trap of, I want those things. And if I didn't give as much, then I could have those things or that sort of thing. Or there's times of the year even, like if you think about it, like Christmas comes and you're like, oh, I got to buy my kids Christmas, so I just won't tithe to the church this month so that I'll have that extra money. And to me, that's, stepping out of obedience. It's not giving generously if you're doing that. It's not always convenient or easy to give. I know there have been times, like straight transparency here, there have been times I've been mad at something at the church or something, and I'm like, they ain't getting my money this month. But I'm not giving to the church, and that's one of the things too that I think is hard for people. And like even in these giving series, like sometimes people are like, oh, all they talk about is giving, and they get mad at the church. And it's like, you're not giving to the church for the church. You are giving back to God what's already His, that He's entrusted you with. And you're trusting the church to be good stewards with that money. That's the thing you have to keep coming back to, even when it's hard. You have to say, you know what, God? I wouldn't even have this stuff, this money and these things, if it weren't for you in the first place. So I need to give back to you and be generous with that. And that's when it gets less difficult. when you take the you out of the picture and the selfish nature we all battle, and you think about why you have things to begin with.